Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches MEILAH Daf Ches. We begin a brand new Perek Sheni. Says the Mishnah, Chatos Hoif. If one designates a bird for the sake of Chatos, Rashi says, he designated it verbally. Bepeh. There's MEILAH at that point. Once he designates it as a Chatos, it activates the MEILAH system. If one misuses it, he has committed MEILAH. So it achieves a level of Kedusha which triggers MEILAH. But once you start the actual process, Nimlaka, once the Malika, the clipping of the head with the nail of the kohen, which is a parallel to the Shechita by an animal, once that was done, so the Akrava process has begun, Nimlaka, that elevates the carbon to a higher level, to a higher status, makes it more delicate, more fragile, and susceptible to things, to types of tumais, which would not have been an issue otherwise. Nimlaka Huchshur became unable to apostle, to become disqualified. If it comes into contact with Tful Yom, a fellow who had already immersed in a mikveh, he's just awaiting sunset. It's a weakened state of Kedusha, but if he comes into contact with this bird, the bird becomes puzzle. Now let's realize the Mishnah chose the word puzzle here. Did not say it's tamei. The Gemara will make that diuk. Tamei means that it's experiencing a tumah which is so severe that it can be transferred over to the next item as well. No, here it's sort of the last stop. It's disqualified. It's puzzle. But whatever residual tumah it has does not carry over. It's not transferable. In any case, it does disqualify this bird. They puzzle with him, or a fellow who's awaiting the akrava of his karbanos to complete his purification process, like a metzora. So these are have some residual tumah elements within them, and they would disqualify the bird upon contact with them. Uvalina, if it stays overnight, it becomes pos, because it's meant for today. It's already on the akrava track. It's meant to be processed today. If it's left overnight, it becomes pos. The third level is who's adama. Let's say the blood of this bird had been processed, had been sprayed onto the mizbeach. So that activates all those elements as well. So pigul status can be activated at that point. So if you had a machshava to eat it, next week, pigul gets applied during the zrika, which is the manifestation of this whole process, the conclusion of the akrava. Noiser v'tamei, likewise, if it was left overnight, the material, the Yisr of Noiser gets applied if one eats it. There's kares v'tamei, if one eats it when he's tummy, there's kares as well. So it's a fully processed carbon which activates all these halachas as well. Vein ba MEILAH. But there's one discount. There's no MEILAH at this point, because as we learned many times, once the hakrava process had completed, such as the hazah in this case, it's mutal l'kayhanim. And once it's mutal l'kayhanim, it's no longer considered exclusively kachi Hashem, and it deactivates the MEILAH. Okay, so we discussed 3 levels of kedusha. Verbal designation gives it an element of kedushas ha'karban, which it makes it a MEILAH candidate. Once the hakrava process began, it's now enabled for disqualification through association with even just a Tful Yom, Chazak Kippurim, or Lina. Once the process was completed, it can activate Pigul Noiser v'tamei, but no MEILAH. Katani usually possible Tful Yom Chazak Kippurim, says the Gemara. The Mishnah shows a reference to puzzle. So after the Malika, it's enabled for psul, but Tful Yom, Chazak Kippurim, v'Lina. The puzzle in, it only becomes puzzle if the Tful Yom touches Avla Tmei Leib, but it will not achieve the level of Tumah to be labeled as tamei, which means to say that the disqualifying element just disqualifies it and stops there. It's not a transferable entity to the next item. Apparently, our Mishnah reflected the Shittas Rabbanon, who hold that Tful Yom's tumah is a weakened tumah, which has limited effect. It can only disqualify this bird upon contact, but whatever it is, it will not transfer to the next bird. The Sani, we have a Braisa, where we have other opinions that treat the Tful Yom like a full-fledged, full-blown tamei. The Sani B'Shol Aimer Yold, Tful Yom, Tchila, regarding matters of karbanos, he's like a tchila, like the start, like a rishon, the tumah. Very high level of tumah. In which case, if you would touch the carbon, what would happen? That carbon becomes a sheni, one level below, but it's fully tamei, that would be transferred to the next item, etc., etc. Ramei Omer, he's not really full blown, he's not a rishon, he's a sheni, a lower level tumah, but that tumah can also still be transferred. Ramei Omer, metames hakodesh, if he touches kodesh, he makes it tamei, right? He said the word metamei, because that kodesh isn't just disqualified, it's a holder of that tumah to the point that it could transfer to the next item as well. Matames HaKodesh. Of course, regarding Truma, which can't go past the Shlishi, so since he's a Sheni, by touching Truma, it makes it puzzle, and it stops there, because it can't go past Shlishi. But by the Kodesh, when he touches Kodesh, he's a Sheni, touches Kodesh, returns to Shlishi. By Kodesh, it goes even further. Kodesh is more delicate, so it can make even a Revi, it can make it puzzle. So bottom line, both Abba Shaul, who holds that he's a Rishon, and Ramei holds he's a Sheni, would hold that the impurity that gets transferred to this bird can actually carry on further. Unlike the Mishnah. They say no. He can't make more than puzzle. Just like when coming into contact with truma, it just makes it puzzle, whether it's food or drink. Like when it comes to kosher materials, he just makes it puzzle. Which sounds exactly like the Mishnah. Amar Rava, no. Perhaps all would agree to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is talking about what happens in MEILAH. MEILAH, Tulyayim cannot make more than puzzle. The Mishnah we just discussed, that's midrabanan, because he's reminiscent of a regular tamei, so we give chumris, we treat him as such to a certain extent. According to Abba Shaul, he can't do more than being paisal the kodesh. Ma'ala also b'kotcha. Regarding karbanos, we gave him a ma'ala, we sort of upgraded him, we gave him higher status of tumah. Shabinu rabbanon tefillim, the rabbanon treated tefillim k'rishon like a rishon. The Rameir, we treat him like a sheni, like food which is a sheni. The rabbanon, no. Even the tavels, once he was tavel, since he went through that process, kalash tumasai, his tumah got weakened to the point that he can't really generate a high level of tumah. So even with the rabbanon, pasul mashve tamei mashve can just disqualify items that cannot make them tamei. So we thought that our Mishnah, which indicates that a tefillah can't do more than pasul, is only going to rabbanon. Unlike Abba Shaul and Rameir, who seem to hold that he has a high level of tumah, the answer is perhaps no. I'm just talking about MEILAH, what his status is, but rabbanon, perhaps he has higher level of tumah status. Who's the Dama Chayav? The Mishnah concluded that after the Hazah, the bird is now MEILAH free. It sounds like MEILAH free, but you can't eat it. MEILAH deleka. Avali Surah, Ika, but there's Isser to eat it. Why? What's wrong? Why not eat it? It belongs to the Kayanim to eat. We're not talking about a standard bird. It left the premises. It got puzzled as a yaitse. That's why you can't eat it. Rabbi Kiva, our Mishnah is following Rabbi Kiva, who says, despite its yaitse status, Zrikam as liyaitse, Zrikam of the blood can accommodate even a yaitse. So it can remove its MEILAH, but it's not going to permit it for consumption. After all, it's puzzle. It's not meant for eating. Hence, the Mishnah indicated that you shouldn't be eating it. Continues the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna, he quotes Amar Rav. We know that a chatas oif has a 3-step hakrava process, beginning with the melika, step 1, followed by haza'ah, spraying the dam straight out of the bird directly to the mizbeach, and then it concludes with something called mitzui. You squeeze out the remaining blood onto the wall of the mizbeach. So the leftovers of the hazah goes through a mitzui process. Now, is mitzui an essential part of the process? Is it critical? Is it mi'akev? So if it's not done, it's possible, or is it just optional? If there's blood and you do it, fine. But otherwise, it's not critical. So he quotes Amar Rav, it's not me'akev. Mitzui chatas oif ino me'akev. If they fail to do the mitzui, it's not me'akev. It's not critical to the process, because the main point is the hazah, the spraying of the dam from the bird. Mitzvah is if there's leftover and you do it. Great, it's a mitzvah, but it's not critical to the process. In fact, Vatani Rav, in our Mishnah, had the girsa, who's Adama? So describing the process of the Chatasoif, it says, who's Adama? We have it in our Mishnah, who's Adama? That relates to the Hazah process. That triggers the whole system of Pigul, Noiser, Vatami, because that's the essential element of the Akrava, but he doesn't mention anything about Mitzvah because that's not Mi'akiv. However, Adabar Abba quotes Amarav, it is critical to the process. Mitzvah Chatasoif is Me'akev. So, in contrast to animal karbanis, where over there the leftovers are not critical. So once you do the zrika of the blood, anything left behind in the kli, which is supposed to be poured into the yisod, into the drain, even if that's not done, it's not critical. But by the chata, so if it is, this is the phase 2 of the blood application. You see, we're talking about blood still within the bird. So the mitzvah is connected to the hazah. It's the conclusion, so to speak, of the hazah. That's apparently how he learns. So first you spray directly from the bird, then you squeeze out the leftovers. It's miyakev. Without which it's not kosher. And in fact, the Tani Rav, according to his version, Rav's wording of the Mishnah was mitzvah dama. Instead of who's a dama, mitzvah dama. Because he holds that mitzvah, as Rashi says, nami ikar mitzvah hav yu ma'akev. Mitzvah is just as critical as the hazah. It's ma'akev, the system. And therefore, the Mishnah refers to that as the final step, the final conclusion of the hakrava process. Toshma, here comes a raya. Vanishar badam yimotzei. If there's any leftover blood in the bird, it's meant to be squeezed out. El yisera mizbeach. Chatasi. So chatasi sounds like it's an integral part of the chatas process. That works according to the second shita. According to that opinion, we understand chatasi related to the mitzvah because it's important, it's critical. That makes it into a chatas. According to the first opinion, it's not critical. My vanishar. What does the pasuk mean? Whatever's left over makes the chatas. It's not even critical. The answer is the Talmud Bavli she'im nishar. Talmud Bavli as well. Learn that it's not critical. But nishar means if there's something left over, and you do it, fine. But it's a mitzvah, but it's not miyakev. So what does the pasuk mean? Chatosi, which sounds like this is the critical element of the chatos. Why chatosi? It's going back on Reish, on the beginning of the discussion, where it talks about the hazah. So the hazah, the malik, all that is critical, but not the mitzvah. Amalei Rav Acha Beid Rav Ashi. So you mean vanishar means if there's leftover, you do the mitzvah, but it's not critical. We find a similar term regarding a mincha. If that's the case, by mincha, it says v'hanoiseres. Whatever is left behind after you pull out the extract the kmitza, which is meant to be burnt on his back, whatever is left behind the shirayim is meant to be consumed by Aaron, his sons, the kehanim. V'hanoiseres sounds like, well, if you have leftovers, which means to say it's not critical to have leftovers. But that's an issue because we know that if the shirayim, let's say you did the kmitza, and some of the leftovers went missing before you got to do the haktara, the burning of the kmitza on his back, before you completed the hakrava, some of the shirayim is missing. It's puzzle. Well, you'll think, wow, big deal. It's just shirayim, leftovers, which anyways don't go on his back. The answer is it's one single entity. The kmitza and the shirayim and the kaimitz represents the shirayim. It's all part of the same hakrava process, so they have to be around during the haktara of the kaimitz. And there's something missing in between the kmitza and the actual haktara. The mincha is puzzle. Oh, what do you mean? It says v'hanoiseres, which sounds like it's optional if there's leftover. So there too, chanami, there too, you're going to say if there's something left over, which sounds like it's not important, it's not critical. Perhaps that's true. V'atani, we have a brayso, it is very critical. Pasuk says, we turn to the next element. Misolta. So he takes the kaimitz from the flour, from the oil. So we learn from here. So shamno, it's got to have everything intact, nothing missing, prat, as opposed to shechasr salta, of the some of the flour went missing, any of the material went missing, v'chasr shamno, the oil, v'chasr levayna went missing. So you see that even though we have the word v'haniseres, it's not optional, it's very critical. So here too, why do we interpret v'hanishar as something optional? The answer is, v'hanishar means optional. So why over there is it not? Because the Torah repeats it. And whenever we have repetition, it denotes criticality. Amri, the answer is Hasam Ksiv Aniserak. Over there it says Aniserak twice, Rashi learns. It's twice. It's for emphasis, to tell you that actually it's critical. Masiv Avod Shmuel Rav Huna. So he presented a kasha to Rav Huna. You're saying that the mitzvah by the Chata Sa'if is not mi'akev. Now let's just think for a second. We have to point out that this whole discussion is particular to Chata Sa'if, which already has that hazah, and the mitzvah is just the sort of the conclusion relating to the remnants. Is it me'akev? Is it not? That's our discussion. But by MEILAH Sa'if, where there's no hazah at all, there is just a two-step process, starting with malika, concluding with a mitzvah. There's no spraying; it's just squeezing onto the. Certainly there. That's the only thing you have. It's the only process that relates to the dam. Of course, it's me'akev. No question about it. So again, Chata Sa'if has three steps: malika, followed by hazah, concluded with mitzvah. Question is mitzvah me'akev. By MEILAH Sa'if, it just has two steps: malika followed by mitzvah, and certainly mitzvah is me'akev. Now the Brisa pairs them together. It says like this: whether it's a echad Chata Sa'if or whether it's a echad MEILAH Sa'if, shemalkon, he did the malika, umitzah dama, or did the mitzvah with some invalid, inappropriate intention. Chuslam kaiman, the intent to process it out of the premises. It's puzzle, but there's no kares for eating the material. That's not pickle, they ain't by kares. But if you had a machshava chutz lazman, to process it in a week, to eat it in a week's time, pigul, that's your full-blown pigul. In which case, if a person eats it, he's liable to kares, v'chayav of kares, because he had this intent while he was processing the carbon, while he was engaged in the critical phases of the akrava, malika, mitzvah. Now, since when is mitzvah critical for the chatas? Brisa clearly relates to the mitzvah stage, and we're assuming it applies to the MEILAH Sa'if, where we certainly understand it's critical, even to the Chata Sa'if, where it's up for discussion. If you had a machshava at that point, it generates pigul. Now we know a pigul can only be generated during the primary phases of akrava, shchita, kabbalah, halacha, zrika, or in a parallel system by the birds. It would be malika, it would be hazah. But here we're including mitzvah as well as something which is a critical component of the akrava process, which can generate pigul. Apparently, mitzvah, even like Chata Sa'if, is mi'akev. Same one that posed the question answered. Let's start into Tani. The Brisa is meant to be learned in a split fashion, so to speak, split application. Although the Brisa began by pairing together the Chata Sa'if and MEILAH Sa'if, but when the Brisa proceeded and referred to mitzvah as being something critical, that only related to MEILAH Sa'if, where we understand there's nothing else with the blood. Of course, mitzvah is mi'akev, but the Chata Sa'if, perhaps not. Gufa. Let's go back to Talmud Bavli, who taught us that mitzvah by Chata Sa'if is not mi'akev, because v'hanishar means she'im nishar b'dam. If there's something left over, you do it. It's a mitzvah. Talmud Bavli himself taught us a brisa from the same base medrash. Hasam over there, Maseches Vachim, shirayim is ma'akvin. Processing the leftover blood is mi'akev. Rabbi Kiva says it's not, Rabbi Shmuel says it is. And Rav Papa explained for us, we're talking about the Chata Sa'if, exactly how a discussion, and the same Tana says it's ma'akev, and here he said it wasn't. Rav Papa, of course, when it comes to pouring the leftovers of the animal carbon blood, that's not miyakib according to anybody, but mitzvah Chata Sa'if, which as he explained is still within the bird, is still connected to the hazah. That will be the point of discussion, the difference between Rabbi Shmuel, who says it is ma'akev, Rabbi Kiva says it's not. Rabbi Shmuel himself in our discussion seems to say otherwise. You're right, there are two versions of Rabbi Shmuel. Whether or not mitzvah is me'akev, Chata Sa'if. There are two Tanoim and two versions, Valiba, in line with the Shita of the Rabbi Shmuel. Okay. So in summation, we spoke about the three phases, three levels of Kedusha that the Chatas Oif experiences. Initially, there's a verbal designation, it becomes Kaddish to the extent that there's Me'ilah, been activated. Once you start the Akrova process, such as the Melika, it becomes more delicate, susceptible to more, it's more sensitive to even residual sort of tumais. It's sensitive to lina as well, but once you complete the akrava process, such as you finish with the hazah, that activates everything. Pigol, noiser, retame, and of course that deactivates the milah. Goes hand in hand, because now it's ready for the kahanim to eat. We discussed the status of Tol Yaim, various opinions, min ha-Torah, min d'Rabbanan, and we ran into the machlekes regarding mitzvah. So mitzvah by Elos Oif is certainly me'akev, by Chatas Oif, it's subject to machlekes. All the best, Yon Hatzlacha.